Peace, 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 peace. I got a great one here, man. I'm just get right into it. Peace and love to you all. You know, you out there on your journey. Yeah. I'm just gonna share something with y'all. That has really helped me like navigate through where I'm currently at. And for those of you that don't know, well, first let's give honor to Source, the Creator, the Most High, for everything and all there is that we're experiencing right now. That being said, this little brief topic that I want to talk about is something that we kind of did in childhood, but like now that we are, well, I'm kind of like ushering it, or how could I say, something that has been like brought to my attention, my awareness, or something that's been rebirthed through my experience, is a vision board. Yo, I feel like vision boards are so slept on, but the beauty of it is like how just how so much of I like to perceive myself, or just to know myself, as a visionary. And I feel like we all learn differently. And that's what makes us all unique. Me, like, we all learn through what we hear, see of, from childhood and so forth. And, but other than that, like, one thing about me, I'm a very visual, more visual than probably most people. So there's like an African proverb that say, I eat with my eye. I hear with my eyes. What am I talking about eating? I hear with my eyes and see with my ears. So that's like symbolizing like the awareness of not only, we digest things through what we see and what we hear, both goes both ways in a way. So, vision board. So I would definitely like encourage a lot of us that how it really has helped me navigate things is through my healing journey and so forth. As I like reconnect to the innocence of myself and my inner child. I'm a multitask while I'm doing this, but I had to go grab the scissors, and actually this is already plugged up. Old school, got the glue gun. And I'm actually currently in the process of like, again, making a vision board. And the reason why this is so helpful for me, or has been like helpful, it like really helps me spark and like really getting to the depths of like me at a moment, like facing my fears of what success is in a way, but more of an internal aspect of that is like me being more self, going through my healing journey and facing a lot of fears, facing a lot of things head on, childhood woundings and so forth, has brought me to a place of like realizing like I can not only be me again, but I can reconnect to the innocence of that childlike experience, that beauty again of being who I am, recovering those versions of myself, and not feeling ashamed or guilty about that. And with that being said, the reason I'm talking about a vision board, I'm going to just give y'all like insight on how, like, what you can do and how to go about it. It's just like, it's so simple. What I did is, like, you can go to like a local library and get like a magazine. And in the magazine, you just pretty much cutting out like things that you want to, in a way, it's like, some may call it manifestation, or, basically like visualizing things that you are valuable. I would like to say that for me is like valuable, because it's not more towards success. It's more towards like where I am now, is that I was at a time through what I experienced, and how I came to do this again. I realized it's like I saw the whole perception around what success is. So everyone's vision board is going to be different. What thing about me is my focus is with my vision, my vision board is like taking what's inward and placing it outward, and what those things in the magazine, like I said, you can go to your library, get free magazines, or if you have magazines, things to where you can probably cut out and paste. It's just like a little child. It's like you cut out and paste it. But what makes it so beautiful about this is that what's vital for me now is that upon my journey, like healing and like going through these traumas, a lot of what I experienced in childhood, I realized, like, I was pondering on this today. I was like, yo, like, I didn't really have a lot of encouragement on not just what success was. I didn't have a lot of empowerment when it came to focusing on other things really than what somebody else perceived, somebody else projection of what I should be. And through that experience, and as I like now come to a lot of revelations or self-realizations, is that not only does this help me with my self-confidence, it also helps me guide me through those low self-esteem, self-doubt, self-sacrificing moments where I was more focused or ego-driven towards certain things that really didn't bring me inner value or joy or peace and so forth. So it's like simple things is like making a bracelet. Like, it's wild, but to me it's like it helps me reconnect. The colors is like me reconnected to my child and my seeing more value in what the societally has deemed what success is, and me in my own way defining success as more of an internal thing. Whether that be success, I feel like is more like it can be peace for somebody, successfully gaining a sense of emotional stability, not only emotional, but for some people it can be physical stability. A lot of things where they have dealt with in their childhood. And that's what I feel like, even talking about this vision board, is that there were moments where my vision, let's say, were cloudy, or I was given visions or insight from source of the divine about the life that I am here to fulfill or live. So I realized a lot of my disconnect from that had to do with a lot of internal wounds or internal things that I was battling with, whether emotionally, mentally, so forth. So in order for me to get to this place, I had to navigate through those moments of even feeling worthy of doing this. So again, from the journey of now me being here, I realized it's like I was self-reflecting. I'm like, yo, I really didn't have this one thing that I've been really focused on is like really having the genuine support system. Let's say, just sharing my vision on life, sharing my, what it is that I feel like I'm going to do and so forth. Yes, love. Baby. One moment, baby. Why are we? Okay, just leave it on the plate, love. We don't need it. Go get shit. We don't need to do that, baby. You can just add it again. Okay. Go wash your hands. Okay, I'm returning. So, again, I didn't even know where I was going, like, with the whole vision board thing, but it immediately makes me go back to what I experienced even from a child, and then seeing gradually how I came to even talk about this topic, to even discuss this. And that being said, what was I talking? I was discussing. I just go on what I was pretty much coming. Okay, so going back to the childhood thing, a lot of us. One moment. So a lot of us, again, a lot of us, or I know myself to be, I didn't really have. Oh, yeah, the support system. When I reflect on my support system, and just from a childhood, we growing up, a lot of us were pressured in, what they call it, peer pressure, or pressure by other people that really didn't have a vision towards wherever they even see their life or their mindset outside of poverty or survival. So for a lot of us, or I know for myself, that when I really reflect on certain people or certain people who were just driven off of money, or from a place of just sometimes repressed envy, to where it's like a lot of them held a lot of things in, to where they were more focused on the material, or jealous, per se, of what somebody else had. I saw a lot of that be displayed in the family dynamic when I grew up in, is that you will see people boast and brag about what they had in a way of like trying to, this ego stroking, or make it seem like they're better off than someone else. And now that I realize it now, I realize it was coming from a wounded place for them. Or sometimes unconsciously, they're not even recognizing that the behavior that they're displaying is rooted in some type of wounding, or some type of survival, and or some type of false identity and being inauthentic. So this is where you can see, like, when you see like the projections or the programming around like obtaining so many things materialistically without really having a value or knowing one's value. And so that's the thing about everyone's value is different. So the vision board that I've done vision boards before, but my vision board now, like certain things I cut out, because we all different. Like I like, I'm an artistic visual person, so I per se like the finer things. When I say the finer things, it's just about somebody might want to dress up a certain way where they don't want to wear a certain brand or whatever. And it's not more the branding to me. It's more so of the internal rather than the external. Because I was, again, from childhood, having seen the false programming of the inauthenticity of people just trying to be something that they're not, or trying to show off or showcase their basically how they feel in a way. But can I say it was rooted in integrity? Not per se, because a lot of environments that we were in, or I was in, is that you will see how some of the men that, that will have certain cars on the big rims or whatever, and then you knew them to be like what they call a drug dealer or whatever. And then you will see a lot of women driven towards that. But then now I reflect, I was like, a lot of their value and substance really wasn't rooted in integrity, or rooted in anything that was really valuable to them internally. So, because a lot of the end result was jail, prison, so forth, and a lot of those, how I saw how some of them got women was through those certain materialistic things. Again, no value, no substance. And in that, you can just see how the flashy things, or certain things that, again, if people don't have awareness of their value or who they are, their self-worth and self-value, then they'll be driven towards things like that. But for me, when I really reflect back on my artistry since I was young, things that I was just natural at, or, doing, I just recall, like, even when I was in elementary school, and I used to have certain blocks and building certain things, like natural ability to do things, and it's just I didn't really care so much about as I gradually got of age to try to be like someone else per se, whatever. And what I realize now is that no matter which way that I was swayed or when I thought I should do this and do that, I realized the importance of holding on to my vision, meaning the vision that was shown to me. And the vision board is like that connection to, sometimes we may not know the direction that we're heading in. Doesn't mean we don't know who we are. But what I realize is that it's the integrity to be on that road, whether you're paving it, being that the road before you wasn't paved. Let's say that. Like, let's say, again, I'm talking about my childhood. When I see how certain people visions or what they were driven by, it just showed me that their vision or their outcome on life was not either rooted in integrity or it really didn't have substance or value. Again, to each his own. It's not everyone. When I see, again, the environments, I'm like, oh, now I see exactly why I was called to create more like artistry, writing, things that, again, when I was younger, I didn't really have a lot of support in. And I feel like that is vital. And that's why I'm sharing this with y'all and encouraging you. Like, you got to be also your biggest supporter, because sometimes we can be our worst critic. But you got to be your biggest fan. You got to be your biggest everything. Because in moments where, again, I didn't feel like doing something, I didn't know where my support was going to come from, I really had to go inside. I really had to really realize, like, there is something greater. Because if my mama never showed me that someday I'll have this, or never encouraged me, but then I've had this insight or this awareness around something greater, or I've seen it in a dream or something, then that lets me know that there's something greater at play here. That's something, that is bigger than me. And so with that, when I just in a deep reflection of now, I see how important individuality is, or individualism. It's like when I see how when you have all these organizations or these corrupted places and all like that, it's everything. It's organized, but it's like organized corruption in a way where it's not really teaching or empowering, someone to rise in their individuality, or to really be authentic. And that was one thing that the deep acceptance of really holding tight to your vision, really holding on to your truth, really seeing the value in yourself, no matter who falls away from your path, no matter, when no one can see it, can you? And so the vision board reminds me of that. Like, it's certain things that it's not so much my awareness now is not so much of losing myself in obtaining things, because I realize, like, even through receiving it, at some point you have to let go. So it's like the art of the detachment, and also like allowing things to just flow. So a lot of things with my vision board would be totally different than someone else, because, I speak on generational curses. I speak on breaking generational chains. And so a lot of what my vision board reflects has a lot to do with not just the dark aspects of my life where I had to navigate through, but me being the light in those dark moments where, let's say, the men in my family, if I grew up around womanizers, or if I grew up around men who abuse women because of their own internal pain or their own internal, woundings, they really never had no guidance. So if I have the awareness to change that, then this is why I create content or videos about acknowledging things like that, and really pinpointing how we can change that, or how we can face that, whether you're younger than me, whether you're elder, and so forth. And the timeless aspect is that is the false perspective or societal success, what that even means and how that looks for everybody. And it's not in the material aspect, it's more so about you knowing who you are and your value. And when we look at how the old world or what it used to be, you can see the reflections of how this person is worth this much. And I ask myself, why do we know that? Why do we even need to know that this is a billionaire? Why do we even need to be fed all these projections of what this person is worth and so forth? Why do we need to be even concerned? And why is that projected onto us in a way to where like we gotta feel like we gotta be fed that narrative? And in a way, it's like, for me, why do I have to be, or why is it that societally, or, when we look at what defines success, why does that have to be the same for everyone else? I used to ponder and question myself. I'm like, success to me can just be simply getting through the day. Success for me can just be simply, and that's what I'm here to like debunk and refine or redefine, however you want to say it, like what success can be for not only myself, but for you. Success can be simply, like I said, breaking generational curses and you being completely different than everyone else. That's success. Finding peace even in your darkest moments or in your storm. You successfully did that. You successfully made it through the day. You successfully, walked away from something that no longer serves you. And so again, how that can look for me and in the vision that I want to, bring about into my life and my reality, then no one can determine my success. And, again, through the projections, we assume that success has to do with a lot of things when it comes to luxury or the luxury aspect externally instead of being the luxury. The asset, the currency, the monetary, all those things, instead of really knowing that you are these things first. That's where your value is, your net worth, or your value, your self-value, your self-worth. Those are things that are internal. But again, through the projections of how the world and what we were given young, it's like, we're immediately given like, this is what success looks like. And I used to sit back and be like, I'm not the one that went the college route. I'm not the one that, because I thought that was for me. I did go and venture off into these things, into these environments, and they were great lessons. But at the same moment, I realized like, that was an experience, and that was something for me to learn. And the beauty of it all is like, it got me to where I am now. But again, my success isn't measured on how the world views me, for one, or even what I have in my possessions per se, or how many degrees, or how many when it comes to just like how many homes, how much money I have. Like, who determines success and where is it rooted in? Can we really say that a lot of this, what we've been fed as success, has value? And it's not to say that, when we look at the monetary system, because again, having been in a world that, again, has force-fed us all these things forcefully, instead of like us seeing the value in ourselves before we obtain certain things, is it really teaching us to, have we really been taught to see the value in ourselves before we see the value in a dollar? Our mindset around like, this person is better, or this person is more valuable, or they're more important because they have a certain status, they're in a certain career. If they're not a doctor, if they're not this, then they're not valuable. Like, that's me highlighting this is like really showing the root of bringing awareness to what we deem as success, because it doesn't matter the most successful or, whatever. What about integrity? What about really being that same person in your home and outside of your home? And you've seen this being highlighted around a lot of things to where, again, like what we were force fed young, I feel like a lot of that has a lot to do with preying on our childhood wounds. When we have seen how much we have been force fed by a system, by some may call like the Matrix, the tricks of it, and what it is that really has substance and value. And we all been affected by how I was. That's why I went down certain paths to see, like, whether it was, modeling, whether it was the basketball, even art, a lot of things. There was times where I actually was traveling and I would go in museums and I would just see like certain things where I'd be like, wow, this is price that, for me, it was just price that what I felt. That was my opinion. I'm just being authentic. At that moment, I was like, this is not worth a couple of thousand. But to those artists, to whomever did it, that might be their worth. But this, what I also got hip to, is that, for one, there has been this, you can say, gap where a lot of this is being highlighted right now when it comes to success, when it comes to, some may call it lower class, upper class, whatever. But I always say we all are valuable. But again, how the world has projected, again, who is successful, who has the money, who's more valuable, is even how, when I was in this environment, where the museum was or where this place was, again, predominantly was people who were of lighter skin, who, again, whether we want to ignore it or not, have more access to, getting certain resources, rather than if I go to an environment where it's predominantly darker. Normally for us or certain people, you will see that, oh, you got to talk to such and such, or they got to, you got to have because at a point in time in my journey, I felt like, oh, I had to meet this person, or I had to get my art to this artist, like, entertainer, or I had to get it here to get my foot in the door to really feel like, oh, I'm successful now. There was years ago I did a masterpiece for an entertainer, and when I put it on, Facebook, it was immediately like people like, oh man, that's what's up. In their mind, they feel like you made it. That's his perception. And I'm telling myself, we talking about we made it. Made it where? If, again, when we're talking about success, what is our perception? A lot of us, our perception, depending on if you grew up in survival, and that's why I'm getting at about the masterpiece and the museum. See, people who have more access to certain resources when it has come to the monetary system, their perception is completely different than some people that, again, grew up in survival, or have a poverty mindset, or just their mindset is just in a lower state, you can say. So it's not to devalue anyone. It's more so they may not have the resources to where they can obtain the money, but just to see someone, what they call, make it out through sports. This is the norm, through sports, through things as such. So by another environment where they have more access to the banks, or they know someone that's in who has more resources connected to money, then that's where you see the divide. And it's not, because people, again, there are darker people who are well off or have something. At the same moment, there's still a divide to where they don't interact or even deal with people who are in, I'm just use the trenches or the hood. Because sometimes there's a fear, or there's a stereo, or there's a different perspective on life. And it's not to discredit anyone. It's just breaking down to where, again, everyone's perception on success is different, to where people are born with money or born into money. To where the people like myself that did not have a lot of those resources young. So my support system was built off survival. We're seeing a single mother or seeing a mother having to do things on her own, or having a man in the home that was, again, conflict driven, abusive. So my perspective on success is going to be completely different than someone who has came in with money, or family who has money. Then you have people, because even in those environments, you got people that are so scared to even use it. And again, we all have been affected, even how some people can have a lot and they still treat people in certain environments like crap. And I've seen it firsthand, to where people who are in those environments may not have it all, but still got integrity, still treat the CEO the same as the janitor. So then again, going back to the museum aspect, when I was in this place where I was like, it was, one of those environments where you knew that there was not a lot of dark, melanated people. And the masterpieces or the art that I saw, I was like, it's no way that you're going to see people that look like me that come in there and really get that right away. So again, how the resources or how things have been developed, where you see this cycle of, you may have an artist that looks like this, but typically they are going to get, more support. But the bigger picture for me that I see is that it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that person really, is living off integrity. Meaning, like, just because they receive that, from their masterpiece, everyone's perspective, whether someone's survival, someone already has money, their perspective or, perception on money, or not money, but perception on success is completely different. So, and that's why I feel like a lot of where you see a lot of this division when it comes to, again, everyone's vision could be different. And whatever that vision is rooted in, that it will be perceived different than someone who already has, or who already been fed with what we call a silver spoon. So, again, I've had the opportunity to travel and be around these environments where, again, I've seen people who have all these things but are empty inside, or they have all these things and they have a fear of, not having it. And that's wild, because this is things that people don't talk about. Like, people, I've been in environments where, to even see artists that was on the street, and this was doing, like, when everyone was on so-called lockdown or whatever, and I met some of the most amazing artists who either chose to be on the street and or just didn't really see past their circumstances. And that being said, it wasn't that they were invaluable. When you look at how this country or societally has deemed success, it automatically creates a division between people when you're talking about whether they're, when it comes to I don't like to use the term race, but again, this is what the programming has been. When it comes to things as such, when it comes to even these social classes, all these things, again, that we have enabled, and still don't even see the dysfunction in as we grew up as a child. Here it is, your mom, being force feeding you to, she's been sacrificing so much without really knowing what it is to put herself first. And so a lot of, growing up in environments like that, this is, again, where this person may have this person may have that. So it has not been as easy, from my experience of growing up in environments, to where there isn't much of support when it comes to a lot of governmental structures and stuff. And the reason I say that is, like, a lot about making my vision come into fruition is that I had to see the corruption even around it. And then even through those corrupted aspects, I saw people who either looked like me, who was in positions to where they had the power or they had the authority to either make something happen, and they chose not to. And then you may have had, and I'm sure this has happened with a lot of people, whether you're talking about athletics, whether you're talking about, you know, just all types of careers or whatever. And that one thing I realize now is like, I was giving so much of my power over to allowing someone to determine what success was for me. If I didn't talk to this person, if I didn't get in here, if I didn't meet this celebrity, if I didn't, you know, again, in ways, give my power over to, you know, allow somebody else to define my success. And that being said, it's like even in environments where I know people who modeled, or I knew people who was in the fashion industry, I knew people who done things that, again, giving over their power or not really knowing their self-worth or their value, so they may have done sexual deeds and nothing fell through. Or they may have, you know, I know women and men, or they may have done things to where they had to self-sacrifice to lower themselves or feel like to devalue themselves, or to feel devalued after, or to really, again, self-sacrifice themselves to obtain what we perceive as success. Like, whether it's having a lot of money. You know, I've been in environments where someone can be in a trailer. This person can be even in a tent. This person can be anywhere to where it's like they feel a sense of peace or success. I feel like what we've been given when you talk about success, rather than valuing a sense of peace, not trying to keep up with the Joneses or keep up with this person, we have lost sight of our own self-worth and value. And that isn't determined by society. That isn't determined by a governmental structure. That's not even determined by who you so-called elect. Because again, this is where you have a lot of sheep being led to the slaughter, literally like self-destructing. And this is what the shift as, you know, a shift in society, well, humanity and so forth. It's like your individuality is just as vital as the collective. They go hand in hand. You showing up for you being you, again, is so vital. It has to be a priority. You know, I went through things where no one saw my vision. No one knew what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to get the, you know, what I went through. I realized like it wasn't about the money from my experience. The healing journey has shown me that who am I without it? Can I still walk in integrity? Who am I without these people? Who am I without codependency? Who am I without the attachment to this false narrative that I've been fed? Or who am I without this false foundation of, you know, a mother's love, a father's love, or people, again, who are not walking in integrity? Who am I? Can I still, you know, and having learned it, I had to go through countless, you know, partnerships, relationships where certain traumas will come up. Me learning again what it is to still hold tight to that vision, whether no one believed, whether no one approved or accepted. When it came to my artistry, like I was literally going through phases of when it came to my art, when it came to, you know, in all different ways, you know, dealing with the community, things where, you know, my where I was doing these murals. And the thing about that is like the beauty of it is that on my channel here, the murals that I was creating, you also can see how I was in a transitional phase of my mom had been evicted after I came out of relationship, so I had to come back and start all the way over. I literally had to my life, I lived through like in a way of like rebirth, transformation, death in a way of like spiritually, or like death to the old way, my old self. And here I am, but at the same moment, like those murals that I've created, certain dreams I would have, I'd be like, well, what is this? And then what I come to the self-realization is like a lot of things I became aware of is that, could I really have integrity? Could I hold tight to my vision no matter who saw it? And so, going back and when you can go through those videos and see how I created those murals, I was in a very, very, I could say low place, but I look back and I'll be like, I don't know how I got through it. But at the same moment, it really showed me that the only way I was going to get through it was navigating through my emotions, speaking up, finding a safe place. Because I talk about emotional security, and I realized like I was regaining that self awareness around, facing the self-doubt, the fears. And these environments that I were in was in my so-called hometown, where the root of these traumas, these childhood traumas begin, where I had to walk past the elementary school that I first experienced, like my art being, put up in the school, or walking past a home where I experienced a lot of trauma, whether physically, verbally, and so forth. Things where I got bullied, a lot of things to where I was like literally going through it. It's like I was being the rainbow in the storm, or I was the rainbow literally at the same moment. I was, everything around me was like a storm. I would say not just a rainbow, but I was the eye. Before creating those murals years ago, I was again in a hotel after coming out of something, a partnership, and then trying to process my emotions, trying to get out of depression. Now realizing how much I repressed so many emotions. Things that piece by piece that I didn't really get insight on or come to the awareness gradually to months later and so forth. Even now, I didn't have really knowledge of a lot of things when it came to childhood traumas or repressed emotions, narcissism, a lot of things again that in those moments where I was in the hotel going through the experience with my mother, I still had the courage to get up and walk. Sometimes having to walk a few miles to create those murals, in an environment where now I realize that I didn't have a healthy support system. There were family and people around, but they weren't willing and they had their own journey. I'm not going to discredit, but again, people watching and knowing what you're going through, you being in this place and no support really offered. And, through that, I still had to get up, make something happen. I still had to go out there and be like, you know what? I'm going to create this mural. I'm not asking for nothing. And it wasn't me trying to look for money or something like that. But through the community, I realized like, the bigger part is like, I want to do this for me and also for the generations to come. So those murals where I did, in my hometown, I realized like me giving was giving back to myself when it came to the youth, when it came to the, because again, a lot of people already that I knew perceived me to be successful or had whatever it is because they've seen me travel or be in a whole nother state, seen me do things, whether, because I put it out there on social media platforms, and them not realizing like the integrity I had to keep. And there were times where I was doing things that now I look back now, I'm not ashamed of, that I was not proud of. There were certain behavior patterns. There were certain things I was running from within myself that I was like, hold on, pause, like, yo, this has to stop. and it stops with me. So after doing a lot of those travels and coming home, going through things to where when I created those murals, it really gave me the bigger picture of it being more than money, more about just trying to project to the world that what success is. So again, through all of this, authenticity is so key in integrity, because it will really show you when you stand in your truth what others are hiding. It would literally expose them. Like I went through things to where I knew I deserved more from doing the murals because I was still offered something, but what was given to me was something like I realized was like a slap in the face. I was like, no, especially where the circumstances that I was in. And the beauty of it all is now that I reflect on it, I tell myself, I'm like, you successfully created these murals. And even after I depart, after I go somewhere, after I leave this body or whatever, your descendants, your kids will see your, and or people after you. And so the beauty of that, like, the vision for a lot of us has already came true. It's just, what do we deem as valuable? Before we think we got to obtain the money first to be successful, we got to obtain the car, the house, all these things that, again, we were force fed to believe that is valuable. Because what sense does it make? And I told myself this, is that I had to go through that to realize, like, I'd rather have peace before I obtain or whatever these things come to me. I'd rather have peace, a peace of mind, peace within, know that I am the prosperity, know that I am the abundance, knowing that I am the currency. I am, me really seeing my self-worth. And I feel like that is so important, because when I have seen others, and I'm going to just use the term sell out or degrade themselves for approval, for acceptance, for money, anything like that, it really shows me like the character, like integrity. And again, I've also been at that place in fashion and so forth, to where I've done things to where, again, I'm not throwing a stone to judge people. It's just the awareness around when we really see success. And when I can really sit here and tell you, like, yo, I wouldn't ever compare my journey to no one else. But one thing I realized I would tell people is that you don't ever have to cut corners to get where you are. Your path and your path alone, what makes you unique, has a purpose of you going through those trials and tribulations, you experiencing that storm. But can you become the eye of the storm? And then even you becoming the eye of the storm and being calm. That's why I mentioned peace, is that everything around you externally can be going on, but do you have a sense of peace? To where I was seeing people who had it act this way, and I was like, that doesn't really reflect my value system, my core value system, or who I'm becoming, or who I already am. Not only that, certain things that the divine will show you purposefully so you don't have to become that. It's not to judge them or really like to, well, you can call them out, but at certain moments, that rejection of that partnership, relationship, that business, that contract with someone is for your protection. Because you can be guided and led to doing something creative that is sustainable, that is rooted in truth and honesty and integrity. And when you look at what the old way and the old stuff used to be, a lot of it does not reflect the individuality of who we really are, all of us. It doesn't really reflect integrity. You're seeing it displayed now in a lot of places right now, where we can throw the stone at someone else about what they're going through, but at the same time, either we have experienced or we know someone who has experienced it. So who are you in those moments where certain things have happened that you covered up? Who have you been in those moments where you know that you should have called this person out? And that's what I mean by authenticity and integrity. And that reflects your value system. That reflects your support system. So when I look at the support system of the old world, these structures and so forth, I cannot say that there was emotional support. There were spiritual, physical things that really catered to my well-being or was a foundation built upon that. So I had to experience connections, environments that show me the corruption, show me the unrighteousness, show me again where I had to decide, okay, I could really sign this, or I could really do this. And if I do this, is that really internally reflecting integrity? Or will I lower myself to be like, oh, I gotta become a part of this rather than create it? And in that creating it, am I willing to be without certain things? Oh, just because they offer me this, am I willing to, do I really have the courage and faith to build it stone by stone, for myself, and then through integrity, to where now I don't have to question anything about what I have endured, went through, and to build, the empire. And through that, the stones will be thrown, the criticism and so forth will come. But can you stay 10 toes down? Can you stand on business? And I don't mean somebody else's business. Can you stand on business? Even though anything else has oh, that's not going to work. All these things that are, again, when I look at how the importance of this vision board is that no one else has to understand or overstand. But the beauty of me understanding and bringing it to my awareness is that which is in, alignment, or that which is reflects my core values, I will, and attract that in a way, or be able, even if things that I did not want to attract, it's more so I can have that discernment like I did before. Now my discernment is more powerful by me being more in tune. But I also now can see that which thought I was supposed to be a part of. Now that resurfaces, I can realize nah, I can stand on business and be like, nah, whether that be friendships, partnerships, relationships, so forth. You can stand on business and realize that's what standing in integrity is. Because again, gradually, now you realize how much it has a ripple effect on not on you. That's the importance for me. It's how it has a ripple effect on me and those that that will come after me. And seeing the ripple effect, the beauty of that. Because whatever before, if I sit back and be like, wow, I'm kind of glad I didn't do that. Or I'm glad I did go through that. Because it's not going to always be perfect. I'm glad I did go through that partnership, or, I'm glad I did go through that because it really reflected back this person's character and integrity. What they really value. And then now I'm able to see wow, that had to happen. And it's not to devalue them, it's to see more value in myself. Or even, where did I devalue myself in that? Oh, what did not see? Oh, now what I no longer ignore? Oh, my discernment now knows that, okay, that's not okay. No. And then energy don't lie. So getting back to the whole vision board aspect is that the beauty of it is that this vision board is vital because the things on here is that, certain things I put, I deserve, a pleasurable, blissful, harmonious life. And that's becoming from reflecting on my childhood, reflecting on the old life I had. I value more peace. I value things, harmonious connections, things that really, are reciprocal now. That reciprocity is valuable. One moment. Okay. Good. So, yeah. So, yeah, again, and this is the evolution of the world right now, or just, me sharing this with you is like the individual. How have you evolved? How are you willing to evolve? Are you willing to shed those layers of yourself? And then now, this is more intentional. Certain things that I realized unconsciously or unintentionally, I realized like, wow, who was that? And, taking full accountability in all my actions, the role that I play. Can I see where I did not notice that I was the main character, where I was playing an extra in someone else's dialogue or, their life? Now it's taking the initiative and being more intentional from going from the pain into the gain, or going from the dark into the light, and still seeing yourself as the light in the darkness. No matter what unfolds, no matter what happens, can you be in the natural flow of things? Can you really see like, okay, I'm standing in front of you. If you gonna call, go ahead right there. Phew. Great, I have a great memory, but anyway. But yeah, the awareness again is like me even holding on to that part of. I realized like a lot of the suffering that I experienced and through those connections is because of my own selfish attachments to my own fears, to my own focusing on like the outcome of like, oh, it gotta be this way. And again, like when I realized a lot of things, when I really stood on business or like was authentic, it shattered my whole illusion of what success is, what is valuable, what love is. You know, different topics we can go, topics or things where we can go into depth of. And the importance of it all is like where you are, what money you have in the bank, anything. It's like what is more valuable when it really comes to your integrity? Is integrity more valuable, or what I realized like the things I wanted to be in denial about myself. And as I realized again, going back to like places where I had to be reborn through these environments, I realized I was going through that to be reborn from it all, like literally to feel like I was at this high place, to be brought to a place to where it was like I had to experience so much with myself. I had to learn to, when I was so focused on how externally things look, to internalize like, okay, what am I really going on the inside, to where I could not ignore anymore. And that's where you see me at today. It's like a lot of things to where how the more learning more self-control, or just not the control, but self-mastery in the emotions, the impulsiveness, creating, going with the flow, being more intentional. And it's a balance, because everything is not going to just be what I feel like it should be. And that's why I had to let go of so many things and just surrender and allow things. A lot of things now I get prompted to do when an emotion come up right away, or a memory come up right away that isn't pleasant, that isn't the best. Then I immediately get this insight like, okay, I should go do this. So the vision board idea came about to where I realized and reflecting on how I was so consumed about societal success, all these other people's idea of success from the media and all these things. And I was like, stop, pause. So with my vision board, I would encourage people, let your vision board reflect who you are, not who the world or society and so forth tells you who you should be. And that's been one of the most challenging things, is that knowing that I tell myself, first of all, I'm not of this world. And I really have accepted that. I was like, whether I was called weird or whatever, I'm not of this world. And what I mean by that, it's like, there's a verse that says, be ye not of this world, or you're in the world but not of it. You know, I used to ponder on that, and I really get it. A lot of you're in this world, but you're not of it. So that tells you right there to be encouraged and realize that a lot of the attention, and this is due to the shift, the old way or the old world does not reflect integrity, does not reflect authenticity. Authenticity, and I'm not saying praise, but does not honor these very things, so that are valuable in the eyes to source or to the divine. So for one, I realized a lot of stuff that I was going through had a lot to do with the fact of a lot of those people, beings, or whatever was of that structure, that inauthenticity. They was a part of that structure that now you're seeing or have already seen crumble or be destroyed, or the process of humanity being in this transition of now reflecting back those very things that they cannot, no longer be, or they can be in denial about it, but it really truly highlights their integrity and who they are, their character. So their character is going to be highlighted no matter who we are. And no matter what narrative we're pushing, it all really reflects back that we all are and have went through something. But can we still be who we are? Can we hold ourselves accountable first? Can we really see, our own shit first before we try to call somebody else out on it? So, again, just the beauty of all of this now, again, seeing, going back to like being not of the world, it's like, bruh, since I was younger, I didn't do nothing everybody else did. And even when I tried, it was frustrating. It would cause me so much friction. Those of you that, whether you get into spirituality, or know about, things as such as like ancestry, it's like they're counting on you, they're rooting on you, or they dependent in a way. And when I mean by ancestors, I mean those of the higher aspect for the good of all, to the harm of none, that actually want to see your lineage succeed in a way of like progressing. And again, success, again, to some people that's of the world, can be so driven off of things that deal with material, or just deal with their own self-righteous endeavors, rather than seeing, okay, baby, give me a moment, okay? I'll come in there and get it. And dealing with things as such. But it really hit me, was like, you're not of this. You're here to create something different. And I was like, light bulb. But I've always known it. It's just reconnecting to it. A lot of us have been so far away from this to where we had to reconnect through the trauma, through the karmic relationships, through the circumstances, on any level. Again, to reconnect with yourself. Oh, okay, baby. I woke up. What you doing? We're not getting nothing out of there. We're not getting nothing out of there. What, you want to get, the bees? Okay, go ahead. Okay, I'm just making sure that I can see you. Just get the bees. Okay, hold it up so it doesn't waste. Okay. Put them on your table. So, yeah. So again, the message, a lot of to the younger ones, the younger generation, this speaks to everyone. I've been there. This is to the younger ones. I've been there because a lot of you are here to shift and change and be of something greater, because you're coming after us, for one. And the world as you know it, it's not, and I'm gonna speak to the elders too, those of you that like are caregivers, to the younger ones, the world as you know it is not gonna look the same through y'all lens. That's a deep acceptance. To the caregivers, we are just a bridge, simply as that. So a lot of our perception of what we thought success was, a lot of us are now seeing like, oh my gosh, this is not what success really is. And I'm not saying, again, to each his own what you believe, your value system. But a lot of us that have this awareness, success can be having, a homestead or a garden. Success to you can be something to where you move out of the country. You go somewhere successfully to break generational chains or curses, to move away from an environment. That can be your success. You don't want to go put all this money on this car or something, but you're ready to go get some acreage and, literally set your, set aside or set your generation after you, for the betterment of their well-being first, like an internal thing, their emotional well-being. It's not, you hear people, oh, I'm gonna get this, and so they can. But I feel like the most important things people forget is that, do you have a successful emotional well-being, mental well-being? Are you successful there? And what does that success entail? What does that look like? Not just visually, but inside. Because the opposite has been like, oh, let me look successful, but not feel successful. And I don't just mean obtaining things. I mean success in the sense of like your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being, your mental well-being, mothers, all of you. And so forth. Where is that success? How does that feel? And what does it look like? And do you embody it? Are you embodying it? Because even though where you are, I don't care if you are in the hood or somewhere else, you can still be successful in the sense of like you finding peace where you are. You still traveling. You still doing things for your well-being. And again, younger generation, our world, because we're your elder. For one, we're only doing the best we can. Let me say that. And we're just a bridge for y'all. And in that, we're going to have errors in a way, or we're going to do things that may not be accepting to you. And this is for you elders, caregivers, or whatever. We also have done these things or experienced this through our own elders. To where it brings balance to where, though we have a more accountability now. And then they are going to be more, have more awareness and enlightenment, or be more, self-reliant, self-sustainable. There will be more things that, again, the generation that are come after us at this higher vibe or frequency, it's just what they're here to do. So the younger generation, you already know what you're here to do. You're hearing it from me first. I already know. I'm already aware. Because when I look at how we are holding ourselves accountable, those that are your elders, that means that empowers you to be who you are. That's my message when it comes to the vision board. It's not just what I'm putting here. It's also internally. It's also you holding, you feeding, you. Pick them up and put them in the basket. Put the beads on the table. That's why I tell you put them on the table. Put them on the table. That way you don't go everywhere on the floor. Yeah. So they don't go everywhere. You're gonna be everywhere on the floor. This is exactly what I'm talking about. See, these things be so raw, bro. I be trying to tell y'all. These video is so authentic. My princess, all them times you see me get up, and here I am talking about the bridge and the youth and, certain things like that where I feel like I get triggered in a way of like not wanting to be interrupted with the video. But it's just like reminding myself like, it's okay. And it's like she don't use the potty, did all these things to try to get my attention. But again, it's not about whether Oh yeah, it's about again being the bridge. Them seeing like her awareness of seeing me do this, but at the same time being, the balance between this and that, or that and this in a way. So, and the beauty of this is like even her seeing and instilling in her the importance of like integrity or what success is, and even allowing ourselves elders or those of you that now are caregivers or whatever. A lot of the programming that we have, because I'm holding y'all accountable, a part of what our programming has been is centered around societal success. That's why y'all be so, I'm calling y'all out. That's why y'all been force-fed these celebrities and force-fed these people to where you don't even know what your success looks like. And sometimes you unconsciously, your success is following after someone else rather than your own leading your own life. You leading your own life or being in the driver's seat of your own life. And then we dare get upset or feel a ways towards the younger generation when we're not even living in integrity because you're following someone else. That's not integrity. When you're trying to, because all leaders were followers at one point in time. So again, a real leader is going to lead you to yourself. That's why I'm trying to let y'all know it's like a lot of us that, and I'm telling you from unlearning the programming of what success was. I'm not telling you it has to be the same for you and I, but no longer will we allow our success be defined by someone external from us or what we have been given. Because when I see the women that are modeling themselves out of some women that wear these hair and do all this other stuff, but then again, you got people that don't even want their children to listen to their own music, that should tell you right there a big red flag. They should tell you right there that they do not even care about your child or you. I told myself the other day, I was like, I will not, when I look at morals and principles, things that are being established, I won't even want, a daughter or any of my children to be even looked at from a place of something, devaluing in a way of like sexually or in a way to where it's like she just looked at externally. I went through that. Her mother has went through that. And it's in a way of, again, how some women that are driven off that, when you see so much on social media, their success through likes, their success through exploiting their body. Same thing with men. If you don't be a basketball player, the next football player, their success being through something as such. But what about their substance? What about their integrity? About, if this happened, let's say an injury or if this social media platform is removed, certain things to where, what about their integrity, their character through those moments? Where are the support systems that are establishing morals and principles to where are you teaching them and instilling into them that your success isn't measured in how much money you have. You can, son, daughter, so forth, go live in a whole other country or go learn another language or live on a homestead, whatever that is. You don't have to model after someone else that you know nothing about. Because the first people that they are learning from is you. But then when we're not attentive and we're just giving them these platforms and social media, what do you think that is programming to do? That is feeding them what they believe success is to be. But deep down, they have low self-esteem. They don't believe in themselves because here is mom and dad out here trying to be something that really has nothing to do with their purpose here. Has nothing to do with their call to do. Has nothing to do with authenticity. So before we get on them about walking in integrity, walking in authenticity, we're not even fucking doing it. We hold you accountable over here. So that's why I tell people like, nobody knows outside of social media. Because I can see right through the energy. I be seeing like this, they're just fronting. So now this highlights your support system. Who do you really got around you that are genuinely supporting you and encouraging you to be you first? Because when I go out here to these communities and I'm talking to these young kids and playing basketball with them and so forth, I let them know the real. Like, look, bro, you might think you want to go here to play here, but there's a lot of politics in it. There's a lot of this and that. There's a lot of da-da-da-da. And I'm not discouraging them. I give them the authenticity of what I've experienced first, but also know that the real world, or where you're going to be interacting, where you need to know the importance of who you are, whether this happens or whether you do get this opportunity, let them know that you ain't gotta be the next athlete. You ain't gotta be the next this and that. You can be you. You can be that weird kid that everybody else, such as myself, that want to bully and attack when you were young. You can be that. It's okay to be somebody use the term black sheep. Or you can just be who you are, because that's who you are. You're unique. You're already successful. You're already abundant. You're already prosperous. You're already amazing in who you are. So again, due to the programming of what a lot of us have been affected by and transitioning out of and getting through, I am not at all surprised when I see a lot of these fathers and or mothers in positions and careers where now they're going through this awareness or awakening or something that, oh my gosh, they hate it. And in hating that, they hate themselves. So before we're driven and encouraged to go to these careers or join these corporations, these societies and certain things in the community, doesn't really support who we are and what is successful about it and what perception of success, what is valuable, what substances. When y'all sit here and complain about these environments or putting your kids and doing this and all, when you're ready to make a change and when you know that you're enough and when you know your worth, and that's when you see the world, how the world has been treating people, how they deem who's successful, who's valuable just because of color, creed, and all this other stuff. That should tell you there's a huge red flags about, well, how can we complain about a world that we have helped enabled, that we were fueling, that we were standing right there pouring gas on? And now that we've seen it lit up in the fire and everybody, oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh my gosh. How are you surprised? That's why I had to check myself through my journey. When I had to let go and be rebirthed through it, I had to realize I'm no longer pouring gasoline onto this, relationships, partnership, anything. Because that's when I realized my self-worth came from inside. And I was more valuable within to rather think that I had to be a part of this to be someone, to join this organization, to join this establishment, to be a part of this, to even be fulfilled, to be accepted, to be approved. So we got to see what we have been enabling our kids to do. And then now a lot of them are so powerful to where they automatically going against the grain because their energy is so high into where they already naturally into. A lot of them probably like little old souls. They very wise. It said the world, we will become wiser. Things will become, this is what's happening. The more in tune individually we become and the more we come back home to ourselves, we will see that blossom into the world. That's why some of us got to be the ones to encourage these kids to be them. To really realize I had to tell there's certain times I had moments where I had to sit down with my princess and be like, look, Daddy angry right now. Daddy's going through things that I didn't even know. Things that I've questioned myself about on my journey about what success is. Will she judge me? And that leads to a lot of us feeling like we become burdensome in our relationships and so forth. Because again, you've had a country and environments and been around caretakers who have seen a country who sees their people and or a people as a burden rather than honoring the aspect that they all played a role, that most of their ancestors built certain things. So Man. So when we really look at, again, when I've had to sit down with myself and I didn't know why certain things were coming up, I realized a lot of it was a false programming. Was things that I held dearly that caused me so much suffering, the attachment to the idea of what success is and what it should be and how it looks, how I should go about it. Back up a little bit, love. But again, into where the burdensome thing, like even with, we had caregivers who felt like they blame us in a way, and I'm just bringing it to attention. They blame us because, or they have this deep either resentment or envy of how we're, some of us are going about, how we want to love ourselves, how we want to pour into ourselves, how we even seek success, and not their ideology of it. That was the old world. And so it forces them to really see their insecurities, their own, with their internal battles. Because again, a lot of those burdens is that's how they have been brought up. That's the programming. Not to mention they've been in environments where a lot of us have felt like burdensome or felt like a product of our environment. So, you talking about the unlearning and the unprogramming of that. You got to be successful and look a certain color. For you to be successful. Y'all don't see what this is doing to. Look at the. Boy, I expose it. This is what I'm here to do. Oh, you telling me success isn't. You're telling me that the powers that work, these people that, success has to do with people that look a certain color. Or you very seldomly see people that are darker, and it's not even just the color thing. It's really deeper than like the surface of like the soul. It's like, and that means like just because they're darker or lighter or whatever, that doesn't mean they got soul. That doesn't mean that they're walking in integrity. And so you got to see the different programmings of like what success in society looks like. When you see the media, when you see the corruption and all, this is what a successful family looks like. This is what a successful family looks like. Oh, if you have this, you're successful. Oh, if you go here, you're successful. Oh, if you're by here and so forth. But look at humanity. Look at you. Look at you. This is what the divine does. Make us all look at ourselves before we try to throw the stone. Look at you. Then when we're able to look at ourselves, then we'll see the importance of the youth. We'll see the importance of, wow, accountability. You haven't been in a country. You don't even have politicians. Whatever y'all put these people in the high places, they don't even know what accountability are. Sounds very narcissistic to me. You talking about a structure who don't face accountability, who keeps building and overhaul and doing all of these things before they really get to the root, because they don't know what solutions are. Solution. They don't really know to the depths because they don't have soul. But again, it's the awareness around now we're being held accountable. So now in that, there's a responsibility to not only hold ourselves accountable, but walking in integrity and holding those around us, creating a support system that holds us accountable, ourselves and people who encourage those things that reflect those core values. Look at this. If you don't, the shift is already here. And the in denial is unbelievable. Can you imagine people not accepting that the world as they know it is over, is ending? And I mean that by the elders, the old world as they know it. Because someday our world will change. That means the ending of a whole new cycle or transition wherever we are. Then a new one comes. So what really is success? And when you look at the old way of being, what is valuable or sustainable? How do you think that was going to be sustainable when it highlights everything that's inauthentic? It doesn't reflect any integrity. Where you can have people call out their stuff, where they can speak about it, but still move forward with peace. Because soon as something get broadcasted, you see most of the world is, they choose a side. And then most of the time you see people that whatever that is being broadcasted, depending on what it is, they know somebody who went through that. Or they even went through it. So integrity would be like, oh, can you call it out? Whether, can you call yourself out on it, or are you walking in integrity when it comes to you calling it out to that person? Or are you in fear of that relationship, that partnership, that foundation being removed? Because eventually it's already happening. So what is success to you? So I'm gonna get out of here. Peace and blessing. Shalom.